If you've been watching the news the last week, then you've definitely heard the name Zohran Mamdani. Zohran is a racist, radical socialist, foreign national born in Uganda, hell-bent on destroying capitalism, Western society, and everything good, who won the New York Democrat mayoral primary. Zohran is the perfect embodiment, much like Ilhan Omar, of the fatigue Americans are feeling, of these foreign nationals who leave there, to quote Donald Trump, shithole countries, flee to the United States for opportunity, safety, and prosperity, and then almost immediately infiltrate our politics and start advocating that the United States be run in the same exact way the country that they fled from is run. But Zohran went on MSNBC's Meet the Press, and even MSNBC, radical propaganda MSNBC, was stunned by how overtly racist, Marxist, and anti-Western civilization Zohran's policies are. Make sure you guys watch to the end because this is jarring stuff. That shows just how deeply cooked New York is if they elect this guy as mayor.
You are a self-described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, what we need more of is equality across our city and across our state and across our country. And I look forward to work with everyone, including billionaires, to make a city that is fairer for all of them.
Well, let me ask you about what Donald Trump, the president of the United States, has had to say. He's had a lot to say about your campaign. He called you a communist. Because he's the president, I want to give you a chance to respond directly to him. How do you respond? Are you a communist?
No, I am not. And I have already had to start to get used to the fact that the president will talk about how I look, how I sound, where I'm from, who I am, ultimately because he wants to distract from what I'm fighting for.
So the guy who wants to run the most capitalist city in the most capitalist country on earth, home to the most billionaires in the United States, is openly declaring war on those billionaires and saying they don't exist. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that this is going to end poorly. Zohran's entire campaign is capitalizing on the angry and misguided, disillusioned energy coming from the overeducated left, who are bitter and angry that their useless degrees haven't materialized into any tangible success. So the envy and jealousy that fills their hearts leads them to conclude that the problem is with the entire system. Capitalism as a whole needs to go, because if somebody as smart and virtuous and compassionate and empathetic as these blue-haired liberals can't get ahead, then it must mean the system they live in rewards bad people for doing bad things because, oh my gosh, they're so perfect. Zohran is really a litmus test to see just how far gone the American left has become. We as a nation used to be united in the fight against communist ideals because they are antithetical to freedom, liberty, pursuit of happiness, all of the fundamentals that Americans hold dear. And Donald Trump called him out and said, New York, you are going to be electing a communist. And while Zohran profusely denies that he's a communist, listen to this clip of him from a few years ago talking about what his ultimate goal is in American politics.
We have to continue to elect more socialists, and we have to ensure that we are unapologetic about our socialism. There are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right? Or whether it's the end goal of ceasing the means of production, where we do not have the same level of support at this very moment. And what I want to say is that it is critical that in the way that we organize, in the way that we set up our work and our priorities, that we do not leave any one issue for the other, that we do not meet a moment and only look at what people are ready for, but that we are doing both of these things in tandem, because it is critical for us to both meet people where they're at and to also organize for what is correct and for what is right, and to ensure that over time we can bring people to that issue. The ramifications of victory here is the difference between life and death.
So again, it's not hyperbole when we say that the American left hates America and fundamentally wants to destroy everything about it. Our culture, our values, our economy. And it's ironic how it's always these foreign nationals fleeing poverty and corruption from their authoritarian Marxist governments to come to America, the country that embraced the exact opposite philosophy, and then try to implement the same policies that made your country suck here and expect a different result? It's nothing more than a concerted effort to abuse the openness and the welcoming nature of Western countries, infiltrate it from within, use our democratic processes to get themselves in a position of power, and then destroy the country from within. And it's because people like Zohran and Ilhan Omar have racist ideologies and hate white people. And here's the Meet the Press host asking him about a policy on his website that verbatim says they're going to increase taxes on white neighborhoods while decreasing them on black and brown neighborhoods. This is crazy stuff. Take a look.
We went on your website and realized there's a policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
That is just a description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed. We've seen time and again that this is a property tax system that is inequitable. It's one that actually Eric Adams ran on, saying that he would change in the first 100 days. He's since sought to defend it and lost at every juncture in court.
And I understand you're saying we're simply describing the types of neighborhoods that would see these increase in taxes, and yet by invoking race, do you run the risk of potentially alienating key constituents?
I think I'm just naming things as they are.
Oh, just naming things for how they are. The left seems to have a huge problem with that when it's us just naming things for how they are. When we point out that the black community has a crime problem, we're called racist. When we point out that countries in Latin America have a serious crime problem and a cartel problem, and open borders will allow those bad people to come into our country, we're called racist. And he has this smug snake oil salesman smile that he's always brandishing that just rubs me the wrong way. This is a man with malicious intent who wants to facilitate the downfall of the West by corrupting and destroying America's largest city, New York City, the embodiment of capitalism. And he wants to turn it into a racist socialist hellhole. And Democrats are buying this garbage. They'll always say to the Make America Great Again movement, oh, well, when was America ever great? How about when the country as a whole rejected socialism and communism because we were all smart enough to know it leads to tyranny, homelessness, poverty, and starvation. When the left and the right could disagree on policy, not biological reality. It's like the left loves to throw fascism around like it's the ultimate evil, like it's the worst form of government that could possibly exist. But yet communism to them is some cheery utopian society when all they have to do is look back 80 years and see the numerous times communism was implemented and the destruction and death that it caused. Actually, they don't even have to look back that far. They can look back at Berlin, a city that was split in half, one side capitalist, one side communist. Same people, two economic systems. One flourished, one was decimated. But here's Zohran doubling down on his racist anti-white policy.
And ultimately, the thing that motivates me in this is to create a system of fairness. It is not to work backwards from a racial assessment of neighborhoods or our city. Rather, it's to ensure that we actually have an equal playing field. And right now, what we see with the property tax system is one that is overtaxing a number of New Yorkers and undertaxing others, and an inability of political will to resolve that.
So no plans to change that language on your website?
The focus here is to actually ensure a fair property tax system, and that the use of that language is just an assessment of the neighborhood.
All right.
Now, where's the outrage from the people on the left who ran with the nice people on both sides hoax, even though Donald Trump verbatim condemned white supremacists? Now they're totally fine with racism. This guy was given the opportunity to condemn a racist policy, and instead he doubles down on it. I don't understand how any white person can support the Democrat Party when they're openly, bluntly saying that they hate them. They want to make their lives fundamentally worse. And somehow they think it makes them good people to go along with this. Because, oh, everything's so racist. We have the white privilege. We owe it to the black and the brown people to make our lives worse so their lives can become better. Never trust a person whose goal is to create fairness. Human ability varies wildly, and it will always lead to hyper-successful people and incredibly unsuccessful people. That's just life. And because there's no way to make the incredibly unsuccessful people as successful as the most successful people, the only solution, and this is why communism fails, is to make the most successful people as successful as the least, and then you get your beautiful equality. Now, despite being a racist who hates white people and hates Western civilization, he's promising all the usual suspects of communism: free this, free that, ideas that sound great to anybody who's never read a history book, and lazy, unambitious people who would much rather have the hardworking people who take risks and go the extra mile pay for everything in their lives because they're extremely entitled. Here's when the Meet the Pressed host, who, as partisan as she is, even she knows, how are you going to pay for that? Listen to his answer.
Okay, well, of course, the big question is, how are you going to pay for it? You've proposed increasing taxes on wealthier New Yorkers. The Democratic governor, though, of your state, Kathy Hochul, says she's not going to support increasing taxes in order to get it across the finish line. I want to let you take a listen to a little bit of what she had to say recently and respond on the other side. Here she is.
I'm not raising taxes on people at a time when affordability is the big issue. I'm actually cutting middle-class taxes.
Even on the wealthy.
I don't want to lose any more people to go to Palm Beach. We've lost enough.
How are you going to raise taxes if you can't get Democrats to support it?
So I think what we've shown over the last 8 months is our ability to take that which is considered a non-starter and make it seem inevitable. We've shown that with this campaign, and ultimately we're seeing that our vision to tax the top 1% of New Yorkers, these are New Yorkers who make $1 million a year or more, and our proposal is to just tax them by 2% additional, is something that has broad support and will continue to increase that support over the next few months and years.
So you think you're going to be able to twist Governor Hochul's arm and get her to support raising taxes? I mean, what about the fact that she says she's concerned New Yorkers might leave? They might go to Florida.
I think it's time for a leadership that doesn't twist arms, but rather builds partnership. And I'm looking forward to having that with the governor.
So Governor Kathy Hochul, who is as anti-Trump as it gets, even she realizes that the rich people in New York have been fleeing to Florida. And this has honestly been the sentiment from most Democrats outside of the really radical socialist ones like AOC and Bernie Sanders. They don't like this guy because socialism is a virus that kills anything that it touches. I mean, Zohran is placating this downtrodden victim class foreigner when his mother is a multi-millionaire. His father is a tenured professor at Columbia. Shocking. But he's doing all this not because he wants to see socialist policies finally come to beautiful fruition in America. He's doing it because he knows it's destructive and he actively wants to facilitate the downfall of Western civilization. And what better place to start than the heart of American capitalism? Now, one of his flagship ideas is straight out of the Soviet Union playbook: government-run grocery stores. And we all know what that leads to: low supply, lack of variety, bread lines, rationing, etc. Listen to his response of grocers in New York City saying if he implements these policies, they're just straight up going to leave New York.
For some executives, including one of the top grocery stores owners, billionaires threatening to shut down his supermarket in the city. John Catsimatidis, who runs Gristedes grocery chain, you're probably very familiar with him. He said this on Election Day, quote, "If the city of New York is going socialist, I will definitely close or sell or move or franchise the Gristedes locations." In order to run New York City successfully as mayor, do you not need the support of a billionaire businessman like John Catsimatidis?
I don't know if I need his support specifically, but I want to make clear that my vision for this city is a vision for every single New Yorker, including business leaders across the city.
So there's only two ways this horrendous idea can go. Number one, all of the major grocery chains who have much more purchasing power than whatever these government-run stores could have are just going to pay suppliers more than normal to make sure that the government-run store can't buy anything and stock their shelves, which is going to lead to a price increase for New Yorkers. Or it works and they artificially subsidize grocery prices to make them lower than the competition, which would cause every other single grocery chain to close its doors. Then you'd be left with a low supply of grocery stores which run as horribly and inefficiently as the DMV in a city of 8.5 million people. And you know what that will lead to? Starvation. Just imagine the shit show Donald Trump is going to have to deal with when a quarter of New York City is on the brink of starvation. If the left thinks that the right is radicalized now, just wait until that happens. Now, the final clip I'm going to show you is arguably one of the most jaw-dropping. Here is Zohran refusing to condemn the statement, globalize the Intifada, which is used by these radical Islamic terrorists as a call to destroy all of Western civilization. Remember, this guy wants to be the mayor of New York. Watch.
You were recently asked about the term globalize the Intifada, if it makes you uncomfortable. In that moment, you did not condemn the phrase. Now, just so folks understand, it's a phrase that many people hear as a call to violence against Jews. There's been a lot of attention on this issue. So I want to give you an opportunity to respond here and now. Do you condemn that phrase, globalize the Intifada?
That's not language that I use. The language that I use and the language that I will continue to use to lead this city is that which speaks clearly to my intent, which is an intent grounded in a belief in universal human rights. And ultimately, that's what is the foundation of so much of my politics, the belief that freedom and justice and safety are things that, to have meaning, have to be applied to all people, and that includes Israelis and Palestinians alike.
But do you actually condemn it? I think that's the question and the outstanding issue that a number of people, both of the Jewish faith and beyond, have. Do you condemn that phase, globalize the Intifada, which a lot of people hear as a call to violence against Jews?
I've heard from many Jewish New Yorkers who have shared their concerns with me, especially in light of the horrific attacks that we saw in Washington, D.C. and in Boulder, Colorado, about this moment of anti-Semitism in our country and in our city. And I've heard those fears and I've had those conversations, and ultimately they are part and parcel of why in my campaign I've put forward a commitment to increase funding for anti-hate crime programming by 800%. I don't believe that the role of the mayor is to police speech in the manner especially of that of Donald Trump, who has put one New Yorker in jail who's just returned to his family, Mahmoud Khalil, for that very supposed crime of speech.
Ah, Trump bad. I mean, the left demanded Trump condemn this, Trump condemn that. But they have absolutely no problem with this guy declaring war on white people and openly stating that he's in support of terrorism against Western civilization. I mean, this would almost be funny if it wasn't so scary. I just don't understand the left's intention on turning America into a socialist state. Why can't socialist countries exist and the Americans who want to live in that system just move there? Like the classical liberals in the 60s and the 70s, the hippies, they hated government. They didn't trust government. They didn't like big government at all. And now the modern left wants the biggest form of government. It's because the modern leftist derives all of their value from virtue signaling, from saying they care about things, showing how nice of a person they are by putting some foreign flag in their Twitter handle. They don't understand that success is predicated on hard work, risk-taking, discipline. And because that's what it takes to succeed in American society, they detest it. They're jealous and they're miserable and they want everybody to be just like them. I hope this guy does not get elected mayor of New York, but if he does, it'll likely mean the National Democrat Party will move more towards socialism, more towards the left, and that is a scary thing for America. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. And I'll see you guys in the next one.